Hey guys, we're in Exodus 34, February 12th lesson, which is Exodus 34. Are you enjoying studying the Bible? We've been studying through the Bible. We've learned so much about the tabernacle. And where's the book on the tabernacle? Oh, here you go. Just got home, but I said, let me just try to teach one class before I get upstairs. So this is the tabernacle. We've been studying on the tabernacle, the priest. Look back on the other videos, table of the holies of holies, Ark of the Covenant, the showbread, Aaron's rod, and the manna. Manna, what is it? Okay, so that's what we've been studying for the last couple of weeks, last couple of days. I have really enjoyed this lesson, and I study this just about every year. I read it, and I've studied it in depth before. Like I'm really going fast and just reading and giving a little bit of commentary, but I have really, really studied the tabernacle and the scriptures in depth. And I mean, I'm just amazed every time I read it. So we're going to be moving real quick tonight. If you have your Bibles, turn to Exodus 34. Exodus 34. Thumbs up this live as you come in the room. A comment would be appreciated, please. Let me share this out in my community tab and get a few more people in here. Alrighty. Exodus 34. So we left off last time where Moses was up in the wilderness 40 days, 40 nights talking to the Lord. And all of a sudden, Moses and Joshua heard like a celebration going on in the camp. And Joshua said, it sounds like war. Moses said, it sounds like a celebration. Oh, excuse me. And they ran down the mountain only to find the people worshiping a calf that they forced Aaron to make. Now, I would think Aaron would know a little bit better, but it says Moses saw that Aaron lost control of the people. And God had just brought them out of Egypt. And what are they doing? Worshiping false gods. Can you believe that? But you know what? That's my father always say. We talk about those people, but would probably be doing the same thing. And in one day, 3,000 people died because Moses said, "Who's on the Lord's side?" Uh, just a second. Who's on the Lord's side? And 3,000 people refused to come on the Lord's side, and so Moses told the Levites to kill them. And so he said that day you sanctified yourself and set yourself aside as the Levites because you obey God. And I know that must have been hard. That must have been hard for them to kill their brothers and sisters and their family members if they were worshiping this false god. And it's like a lot of us today where our hearts are turned to things that opposes God. Okay, let me share this out. But we need to get on the Lord's side. Amen. I'm going to be reading really fast. As you can tell, your girl is tired. Okay. Exodus 34. So Moses came down. He smashed the 10 Commandments. He grinded. Hello, Edward. Hey. He grinded up and give it to the people to drink. Edward, I need to send you something. Go on my blog, Janice Hilton blog, and see if there's something on there you like, and I'll gift it to you because you're always here supporting me, brother. Okay, go on Janice Hilton blog. If I haven't, because I've sold a lot of those journals. So if there's something on there you see that you like, let me email me. You have my email address, right? Janice Hilton blog at Gmail. Because I think I'm doing mail tomorrow. or Saturday morning, one of those mornings, so I can ship it out. I have a lot of stuff to ship out. All right. So Exodus 34. Then the Lord told Moses to chisel 1 2 stone tablet like the first ones. I will write on them the same words that were on the tablets you smashed. Be ready in the mornings to climb up Mount Sinai and present yourself to me on the mountain of on on top of the mountain. No one else may come with you. In fact, no one else is to appear anywhere on the mountain. Do not even let the flocks or herds gaze near the mountain. So Moses chiseled out 2 tablets of stone like the first one. Excuse me, what time is it, child? It was 7:30. I'm usually in bed at this time. I know y'all be laughing at me. You go to bed at 7:30. I do. I get in bed early, but I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. See. Do not even let the flocks or herds graze near the mountain. So Moses chiseled out 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. Early in the morning, he climbed Mount Sinai as the Lord had commanded him, and he carried the 2 stone tablets in his hands. Then the Lord came down in a cloud and stood there with him, and he called out his own name, Yahweh, the Lord. The Lord passed in front of Moses, calling out, Yahweh, the Lord of compassion and mercy. I am slow to anger and filled with unfailing love and faithfulness. I lavish unfailing love, excuse me, to 1,000 generations. I forgive iniquity, rebellion, and sin, but I do not excuse the guilty. I lay sins of the parents. Pay attention. I lay sins of the parents upon their children and grandchildren. The entire family is affected, even children in their third and fourth generation. So this is why I keep telling you, beloveds, to beg of you to try to do right, live right. I have a saying in my house to my kids: do right, act right, say right, do right, just do right. And my dad always said it might not feel good, but it's always good to do the right thing and be right. This is hot water. I don't want to. I think me drinking that sugar, that tea at night, causes your girl to put on a few pounds, and we're not gonna have that. So I just warm this water up, and I'm just gonna sip on this water, hot water. So right here, since I'm gonna do I'm going to do a thing. Oh Lord, I just need time. I'm going to do maybe a study guide. Okay, I'm probably going to do it after the lessons, but you can always go back and have the study guide and ask questions and remember. So certain things we need to remember. You're about to do something wrong. God say he gonna lay the sins of the parents upon their children and grandchildren, and I'm not gonna have that. I'm trying to live my life right. I'm trying to do right. I'm trying to act right so that my children can reap the blessings of the Lord, not curses. Okay. Moses immediately threw himself to the ground and worshiped, and he said, "Oh Lord, if it's true that I have found favor with you, then please travel with us. Yes, this is a stubborn and rebellious people, but please forgive our iniquity and our sins. Claim us as your own special possession." The Lord replied, Listen, I am making a covenant with you in the presence of all your people. I will perform miracles that have never been performed anywhere in all the earth or in any nation, and all the people around you will see the power of the Lord, the awesome power I will display for you. But listen carefully to everything I command you today. Then I will go ahead and drive out the Amorites, the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and the Jebusites. And remember, I always said in Genesis for us to remember those names because we're going to continually see those names. And God is saying, I'm going to drive them out. Verse 12. Be very careful never to make a treaty with people who live in the land where you are going. So God was very specific not to make treaty in the land where they are going. If you do, you will follow their evil ways. Hello, follow your evil ways and be trapped. Instead, you must break down their pagan altars, smash their sacred pillars, and cut down their Aspherian poles. You must worship no other gods, for the Lord, whose very name is a God who is jealous about his relationship with you. Excuse me. So we see that God is a jealous God. Now, I have heard of some people don't want to believe in God or serve the God of the Bible because it says he is a jealous God. But you can't compare God, a jealous God, to your jealous, abusive husband that you chose to marry you. Okay? Yes, there may be one that you didn't know, but most of these angry abusive men, y'all be marrying. Y'all knew it. Hello, naked wife, get it? The naked wife. Naked wife available on Amazon or on my blog. Henry. Hello, Henry. How are you? Henry seems to be having a problem. So let's just take care of Henry tonight. Okay. So we see that God is a jealous God. Okay. Amen. Oh, come on. This thing needs to go back. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, Henry's acting very ugly. Okay. um, verse 18. You must celebrate festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days, the bread you eat must be made without yeast, just as I commanded you. Celebrate this festival annually at the appointed time in the early spring in the month of Abib. Where's my book? I just had it. We're going to be talking about the different months because we know that the Jewish calendar is different from the Julian calendar, which is the one we follow most of the time. But our Jewish brothers and sisters, they have a calendar, and that is the calendar that God works on, okay? That is the calendar that the Lord Jesus, God the Father works on. The Jewish calendar. So let me show you here the names of the different months. I've been very rough on this book, and the leaves are starting to feel abused. Let's see here. I was looking at this the other day. Unless it was in one of my other books. For the different calendars, the different months. Maybe it was in one of my other books. Oh, here it is. The calendar, okay? Can you see that? And so when God is speaking, let me find it about annual the Pontai early spring in the month Abid. My little boy's upstairs jumping on the bed. I guess this is it here. No, that's spring. Oh no, remember, also their spring is different from our springs, okay? Okay. For this is the anniversary of your departure from Egypt. The firstborn of every animal belongs to me, includes the firstborn males from your herds of cattle and your flocks of sheep and goats. A firstborn donkey may be bought back from the Lord by presenting a lamb or a young goat in its place. But if you do not buy it back, you must break its neck. However, you must buy back every firstborn son. Okay. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but on the seventh day, you must stop working, even during the season of plowing and harvest. You must celebrate the festival of harvest with the first crop of the wheat harvest and celebrate the festival of final harvest at the end of the harvest season. 3 times each year, every man in Israel must appear before the Lord, before the sovereign Lord, the God of Israel. I will drive out the other nations ahead of you and expand your territory so no one will covet or conquer your land while you appear before the Lord your God 3 times a year. You must not offer the blood of my sacrificial offering together with any baked goods containing yeast. And none of the meat of the Passover sacrifice may be kept over until the next morning. Okay. As you harvest your crops, bring the very best of the first harvest to the house of the Lord. Let me remind them that I'm recording. 1 second. Yes. Okay, guys. I just realized that I came back. I was talking and I did not turn my microphone back on. That's why I don't like to turn it on. And no one alerted me. I don't remember where did I left off when I ran upstairs. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't turn my microphone back on. So I'm going to I think I'm gonna just go back half and read it really quick. Okay, I'm gonna start at you must so at Exodus 34 verse 18. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is why I don't like to turn the microphone off when I get up. So Exodus 34 verse 18. I'm gonna read really fast. You must celebrate the festival of unleavened bread for 7 days. The bread you eat must be made without yeast. As I commanded you, celebrate this festival annually at the appointed time in early spring in the month Abib, for that is the anniversary of the Lord. And I showed you the book. The firstborn of every animal belongs to me, including the firstborn males from your herds of cattle and your flocks of sheep and goats. A firstborn donkey may be bought from the Lord by presenting a lamb or young goats in its place. But if you do not buy it back, you must break its neck. However, you must buy back, redeem your firstborn son. No one may appear before me without an offering. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but in the seventh day you must stop working, even during the seasons of plowing and harvest. You must celebrate the festival of harvest with the first crop of your wheat harvest. Celebrate the festival of cotton harvest at the end of the harvest season 3 times per year. Every man in Israel must appear before the salvation of the Lord God of Israel. I will drive out other nations ahead of you and expand your territory so no one will covet and conquer your land while you appear before the Lord your God 3 times a year. You must not offer the blood of sacrificial offerings together with any baked goods containing yeast and none, excuse me, meat of Passover. Remember, Passover, we was just reading in the New Testament with Jesus. Sacrifice may be kept over until the next morning. As you harvest your crop, bring the very best of the first harvest to the house of the Lord. You must not cook a young goat in its mother's milk, meaning while it's nursing. Then the Lord said to Moses, write down all these instructions, for they represent the terms of covenant I am making with you, with the Lord of Israel. Moses remained there on the mountain 40 days, 49. So remember, he was there 40 days, 49, and then he's back 40 days and 49. Hello, what is the people doing? Verse 29, when Moses came down Mount Sinai on the two tablets inscribed with the names of covenant, he wasn't aware that his face had become radiant because they had spoken to the Lord. So when Aaron and the people saw the radiance of Moses' face, they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called out to them and asked Aaron and all the leaders of the community to come over. uh, and he talked with them. Then all the people of Israel approached him, and Moses gave him all the instructions the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking with people, he covered his face with a veil. But whenever he went into the tent of the meeting to speak with the Lord, he would remove the veil until he came out again. Then he would give the people whatever instructions the Lord had given him, and the people of Israel would see the radiant glow of his face, so he wouldn't put the veil over his face until he returned to speak with the Lord. Exodus 35. Again, I'm rereading, so forgive me if I already read this because I went to remind my husband and the baby that I'm recording, and then when I came back, I didn't turn my mic on. So forgive me if I read this again. I'm just trying to read it some more just in case Then Moses, verse Exodus chapter 35. Then Moses called together the whole community of Israel and told them, these are the instructions for the Lord has commanded you to follow. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the seventh day must be a day of complete rest, a holy day dedicated to the Lord. Anyone who works on those days must be put to death. You must not even light a fire of your homes on the Sabbath day. So God was very sure about the Sabbath day. And as born again believers, we worship on Sunday, which is known as the Lord's Day. We don't celebrate and I asked the question, when is the Sabbath for believers? Verse 4, then Moses said to the whole community of Israel, this is what the Lord has commanded. Take a sacred offering for the Lord. Let those who generous heart present the following gifts of the Lord: gold, silver, bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, fine linen and goat hair for cloth, 10 ram skins and fine goat skins leather, acacia woods, olive oil for lamb, spices for the anointing oil, and the fragrant incense, onyx stones and other gemstones to be set in the ephod and the chest plate. And I showed you the high priest. High priest in the Old Testament is Jesus Christ in the New Testament. That is his chest plate. That's the ephod. Yeah. Okay. Matthew 27, I'm reading again because, again, I don't know if my mic was on. No, it was the governor's custom each year during the Passover celebration to release one prisoner to the crowd, anyone they wanted. This year, there was a notorious prisoner, a man named Barabbas. As the crowds gathered before Pilate's house that morning, he asked them, which do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who was called the Messiah? He knew very well the religious leaders had arrested Jesus out of envy. Just then, as Pilate was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent him this message: leave this innocent man alone. I suffered through a terrible nightmare before about him last night. Meanwhile, the leading priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas to be released and for Jesus to be put to death. So the governor asked, which of these two do you want me to release? The crowd shouted, Barabbas. Pilate responded, then what should I do with Jesus, the Messiah? They shouted, crucify him. Why? Pilate demanded, what crime has he committed? But the mob roared even louder, crucify him. Pilate saw that he wasn't getting in the rear and that a riot was developing, so he sent for a bowl of water and washed his hands before his crowd, saying, I am innocent of this man's blood. The responsibility is yours. And all the people yelled back, we will take responsibility for his death, we and our children. Remember, we just read in Exodus 34, verse 7, he says, but I lay the sins of the parents upon the children and the grandfather, entire families affected, even children, third and fourth. So Pilate released Barabbas to them, verse 26 of Matthew 27. He ordered Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip, then turned him over to Roman soldiers to be crucified. So that's every time they hit him and they pull it, they took a piece of his flesh. Jesus. My God, have mercy. That's what he did for you and for me. Verse 27, some of the governor's soldiers took Jesus into their headquarters and called out the entire regiment. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. They wove the thorn branches into a crown and put it on his head. And they placed a reed stick on his right hand as a scepter. Then they knelt before him in mockery and taunted, Hail, King of the Jews. And they spit on him and grabbed the stick and struck him on the head with it. When they were finally tired of mocking him, they took off the robe and put his clothes on him again. Then they led him away to crucify. Remember, Jesus in the New Testament is the high priest in the Old Testament. Okay. Psalm 27. I'm sorry, Psalm 33, 12 to 22. What joy for the nation whose God is our Lord, whose people he has chosen as an inheritance. The Lord looked down from heaven and see the whole human race. From his throne, he observed all who live on the earth. He made their hearts so he understand everything they do. The best equipped army cannot save a king, nor is great strength enough to save a warrior. Don't count on your war horse to give you victory. For all its strength, it cannot save you. But the Lord watches over those who fear him, those who rely on his unfailing love. He rescues them from death and keeps them alive in times of famine. We put our hope in the Lord. He is our help and our shield. In him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in his holy name. Let your unfailing love surround us, Lord. Our hope is in you. Amen. So that is Psalm 33. Proverbs 9, 1 to 6. I'm sorry. Again, I'm just going back because I went to talk to the baby, came back, my mic wasn't on. So Proverbs 9, 1 to 6. Wisdom has built her house. She has carved its 7 pillars. So there's 7 pillars of wisdom. She has prepared a great banquet, mixed with wines and set the table. She has set her servants to invite everyone to come. She calls out from the heights overlooking the city. Come in with me, she urges the simple. To those who lack good judgment, she says, come eat my food and drink wine I have mixed. Leave your simple ways behind and begin to live. Learn to use good judgment. This is why I encourage you guys to read a chapter of Proverbs every day. I'm going to run because you're really sleepy. I just want to remind you guys about my books. Furniture Fantastic Guys, you might meet on social media. It is available on Amazon. If you need it quick, order from Amazon, okay? If not, go on my blog, Jane Silton blog, order a copy. This is my other book, The Naked Wife, ladies. The reason why I want to choose right is because you don't want to end up being the naked wife. And then, of course, I have journals and other stuff on my blog. Um, Edward, go on my blog, see if there's something on there you would like, and I'll ship it out to you. All right, I have to run. I love you. I'll see y'all in the morning. Blessings.